Vladimir Putin is now looking toward 2026 as his defining moment on the world stage, but experts caution that any pause in his war campaign could simply set the stage for an even deadlier return. Analysts believe Putin is aiming to shape 2026 into a good year, using any peace deal he achieves to present himself domestically as a victorious leader restoring Russia's strength. Experts told The Sun that the Kremlin now sees geopolitical conditions aligning perfectly for Putin to attempt a bold maneuver designed to fracture NATO unity. King's College London's Tim Wilsey, speaking to The Sun, noted that any negotiated pause in the Ukraine conflict might simply give Russia valuable breathing space to rebuild its forces and strike once more. Wilsey warned that the coming months could bring a wave of sabotage, assassinations, and drones over airports intended to intimidate and terrorize Western nations. The analyst added that Georgia is already under Putin's wing, and voiced concern that Moldova might become the Kremlin's next strategic target in Europe. Analysts also warned that Putin may begin nibbling at the edges of Ukraine, using limited confrontations to test NATO's security commitments and Western resolve. Tim Wilsey told The Sun, and I quote, "I expect Vladimir Putin to have a good year in 2026. There is a really good chance that Putin will get a favorable deal, favorable to him, and that he will trumpet it domestically as a triumph. I think he's going to need time to recover. The Russian army is in a dreadful state and it's going to take a while to recover. My bet is 3 years. I don't think for a moment that Putin's project is finished. He, Putin, pretty much got Georgia under his wing, and will go for Moldova." Unquote. Wilsey identified Narva, an Estonian border city, as a potential flashpoint that could trigger a crisis capable of tearing NATO apart. Narva lies directly on NATO's eastern front line, separated from Russia only by the narrow waters of the Narva River. According to Chatham House, around 97% of Narva's population speaks Russian, with many residents sharing family ties across the nearby border. Following Estonia's independence, Narva held an unofficial referendum seeking greater autonomy, which the government later ruled unconstitutional. In 2022, Vladimir Putin publicly declared that Narva was historically Russian territory and suggested it should eventually be taken back. Estonia continues to be one of Ukraine's strongest European supporters, yet daily life in Narva remains deeply intertwined with Russian culture and language. Analysts now openly question whether the United States would truly go to war for one town in Estonia if Putin decided to test NATO's red lines there. Foreign policy expert Alan Mendoza told The Sun that much of Putin's 2026 strategy hinges directly on whatever decisions Donald Trump chooses to make. Mendoza said that if Trump issues strong and credible US security guarantees, they could compel Putin to pause or reconsider any escalation. However, Mendoza warned that a poorly negotiated or weak deal could hand Putin carte blanche to continue his aggressive regional expansion. Mendoza said, and I quote, "Much of what happens to Putin in 2026 depends on what Donald Trump decides." Unquote. Mendoza cautioned that a peace deal in name only, one lacking substance or enforcement, would simply allow Moscow's aggression to persist unchecked. Putin has already reasserted the strategic initiative across Ukraine's front lines, placing Russian forces on the offensive in multiple sectors. Ukrainian officials reported facing more than 700 incoming drones and missiles in a single night earlier this month. The United Nations confirmed that 226 civilians were killed in November 2025 alone as a result of Russia's long-range missile strikes. Russia is now forming a full brigade equipped with Oreshnik hypersonic missiles, which Putin has publicly claimed are unstoppable. European Union leaders have just approved a €90 billion interest-free loan intended to sustain Ukraine's government and defense budget through 2027. Despite this support, Kiev still faces what economists call a cash cliff, with the IMF estimating Ukraine needs another £120 billion within the next 2 years. Analysts warn that Europe's response remains dangerously slow at a time when US political will to back the war effort appears to be shrinking.
25 करोड़ गरीब गरीबी को परास्त करके बाहर निकले।
For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
The fastest news breaks.
Requested PM saying that look, you will have to speak to Putin and to Zelensky.
The biggest news makers.
The relationship with India is probably the most important bilateral relationship the US will have for the rest of this century.
The capital delivered quite an election result today.
Expert analysis.
The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death.
Ground reports.
I'm standing at the crossroad of the Kumbh Mela. Behind me are more than 100 entry ghats.
Long-form interviews.
Exclusionary politics is reflected in Manipur case as well. You don't bother because this is a small state.
Deep dive into burning issues.
It's often said DRC could be the richest country in the whole world. It's because of what sits underneath.
Why exactly did the US topple the Sheikh Hasina government?
HT videos. We don't just break news, we break it down.